Mr. and Mrs. Akinyemi are married and blessed with 2 teenagers, Paul and Patience, who are 18 and 16 years of age respectively. The Akinyemis are a happy Christian family and doing well financially. Recently, the family has been under heat owing to the disturbing discovery of a strange and erroneous intimacy between the children. It all started about 4 months ago with Patience, who suddenly developed unusual negligence towards her home chores and equally engaging in strange movements within and outside the house.
This girl didn't wake me up to take my bath.
On this fateful night, Mrs. Akinyemi saw Patience coming out of Paul's room at a late hour, clutching a piece of cloth in her hand in a secretive posture. These all call for questioning.
Paul! Is he asleep? What are these children? What are you doing here?
I was watching video of Paul's phone fights.
The next morning, she surprisingly discovered a blood stain on Paul's bedsheet while doing his laundry. It dawned on her that something sinister must be going on between the children.
What is going on?
Later that same day, Mrs. Akinyemi tactfully interrogated Patience and was infuriated to learn about the incestuous act Patience and her brother engaged in the previous night.
Do you know what you have done? Brother and sister. Oh my God. Your father will kill you today.
Mr. Akinyemi was equally enraged, to say the least, on hearing about this unpleasant development, and as is expected from fathers, he physically engaged Paul.
How could you do it to your sister? Even though you have to do such. Are there no other girls out?
I'm sorry, it was a handwork of the devil.
Shut up your mouth! You are the devil, and I will kill you tonight. You are the devil.
Will you shut up your mouth?
Her suspicion has lately been raised to another disturbing level, owing to Patience's obvious emotional and sometimes physical distance from her. She had also recently suspected increased and well-calculated closeness amongst the teens that wasn't there before.
I have noticed that Patience has been avoiding me in this house, and she's spending so much time with Paul.
So what is wrong with that?
Can't you be talking like this now, after everything that's been happening in this house?
So what do you want me to do?
I think they need to be...
But Mr. Akinyemi was still adamant that the issue had been decisively dealt with by him.
The deed is already done. I'm sure you've just been paranoid.
Look, I have said my own. I don't know this one you're doing, I've said my own.
Please get into the car.
She has also intimated her pastor about this recent disturbing development. but he is of the opinion that Mrs. Akinyemi improved on her parenting skills rather. She concedes that she can't when she has no one to work with.
My husband does not care about the children. All he cares about is his business. I'm tired of this whole thing. I just want the children to be separated. I want them to be separated far from each other so that I can at least have time to groom Patience as a lady.
With each passing day, the way at which fathers sleep with their daughters, daughters sleep with brother, sister, brother, cousin, and all of that family structure increases, and families and parents are beginning to get worried on how to know what's happening under their roofs and how they can curb incest. If that's your worry and that's your fear, you are just tuned into the right station as we're talking about curbing incest today. Welcome to Decisions. My name is Rachel Blogging and I'm your host. And I will not be deliberating alone today. I have two wonderful guests with me, and just close to me is Pastor Efe Okobo of Heritage Assembly Worry, and is also the convener of Pure Passions, a youth and teens ministry. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very
It's
much.
good to have you.
It's great
You're
to be
looking good.
Thank you.
And the other person we have a very personal, funny relationship. Her husband is my boyfriend. It's very, very complicated, but okay. Pastor Mrs. Patience Boma George, welcome. She's a marriage counselor and a teenage teacher, and she's also at Church Mission International. Welcome, it's good to have you on set.
Thank you.
You look. How do old people look beautiful? I wonder. It's so hard for me myself, and I'm this young. How is it so easy for you guys? Okay, we're gonna go straight to what's happening right now, as we don't have so much time. So moving on to the discussion for the day, our first question would be on the preventive side. How do we help parents to prevent, not to get to a place, first of all, where for parents that do not already have kids doing this, how do they get to a place where they don't have teenagers or children committing incest right under their roof?
Okay. I think the first thing to observe is every generation has its basic issues and challenges. And one thing we would have observed in this present generation is there's a strong pull towards sexual activity. And I think every parent needs to be very observant, right, to understand exactly what's going on. We have social media, we have movies, we have music, we have quite a number of things that tends to suggest sex to young people. And the truth is this pull is getting stronger, especially when our present day world tends to give permission to people to express themselves as they desire. So parents need to be very observant. That's the first thing. Parents need to recognize the issues that the children have to deal with when they go to school, when they're with their peers, when they're alone with their phones. Many times parents assume that, okay, well, maybe they are doing an assignment or something. The reality is many of these thoughts start building up from interaction with many of these things, movies, social media. Sometimes you see things on Facebook, links to certain sites, or you see certain news flashes like, oh, naked pictures of Beyonce found, right? In your mind, oh, my child is on Facebook. But the reality is that he or she is getting suggestions from different people, bringing different things, and before long, his or her mind gets filled with thoughts that he no longer has control over, right? So parents need to understand that there is a serious battle going on around young people, revolving towards making them sexually active, right? Having understood that, then they need to begin to put things in place to educate their children, to give them the proper understanding concerning sexuality, sex, what it means to be a man, what it means to be a woman. The society projects that you are not yet there until you have become sexually active. And so sometimes you see many of these people getting into these things, not necessarily because they want to, but because they've been made to feel that there's something that is not yet right with you until you begin to do it. Some guys are shy. They cannot walk up to a girl and say, oh, I want to have sex with you, or this. And for them, oh, my sister, who will probably want to try it out with me, might just be a good option. And that's how it starts. and it can be a very painful discovery for any parent, right? But most times, why things will actually even get to such a place is that the parents are not observant. Parents tend to assume that, well, in my time it was okay. Yeah. Like I tell people many times, in my time, before you can watch a pornographic movie, you have to really search for it. But now pornography is searching for you. You don't need to look for it, right? So it's everywhere, and so many young people are sexually charged, right, and seeking means of expression. So children need to be taught from an early age, right? And truly, there's no age that is too young now. A child from 2-year-old, 3-year-old, they get sexually abused. So we are in a society now that from a very early age, we need to start preparing our children to understand what they are going to be faced with as they grow, right? So education, I think, is the very first place to start. The children need to be properly trained, enlightened concerning what it is, sexual.
Okay, let's go to Pastor patient.
Well, I think you cover so many areas, one would have wanted to speak. But I also said our lifestyle now. While he was talking, I was just flashing back and just thinking the kind of things that interest a particular generation. They are not the things that are interesting, siblings, when we are growing up, the kind of play we engage in, it's not the kind of play that is found now. And also the lifestyle that was prevalent before. Before we have this communal lifestyle. Children in a particular area know themselves, they are playmates, they come at a certain time, they play, because you can't take play away from a child. So when the child is being prevented from that expression of play, what is being locked at home? You go to most homes now, you see how the streets are quiet. There are human beings living there, but you think it's ghost town. Because the children are all caged at home. And parents come to say that with the television there, they have companion. But the television, like he said, sex is now calling you, come, I want to teach you. So the television is an outshoot to teach our children what they do. Maybe they just go to some channels, they thought. And God has created in man with the senses of feeling. So the child that is become a teenager, by the time he looks, the feelings comes and he does not know who to express it to. And some parents, again, a child comes to you and said, what is sex? We are so angry with them. What are you talking, Understand what I'm trying to say? Making the child to withdraw and to learn more from his good teacher. The television, and if the child is privileged to have a phone, which most of these families in question, they give such. To them is to communicate with the child in case there's any problem, you can call. But they don't know the kind of communication gadgets you are giving to these children are bigger than them. You give them communication gadgets that they can browse. Anything comes up. In short, yesterday, I don't know how they pop something into sex. They were sexing. I just looked at this and said, Jesus, how did this pop into it by this thing? You can imagine if it's a child that was with the phone. They were having real sex. In there, just a code, just this demon. I think the end time is close, and devil is looking for how to destroy homes. And this is one of the ways to see that they destroy by our children having love for themselves, because there is no other place again to go out to. When they are playing child's play outside, where adults are, looking at them. Because the way we are brought up, when we want to play, we come outside. Adults, maybe one mother is doing something, she's citing them. So they can't play such play. And the kind of play that before is prevalent, how you begin to learn mother and father, you use something to play, this one is bringing something, that is the kind, and they do it in the eyes of adults. But now, if that intuition is not in them, and they want to learn how to be mommy and daddy, and they are just one boy, one girl in the house, what will they do? And secondly, again, privacy. The way we expose our bodies, parents even. You expose their body now, like you said, sex is calling them, not them looking for it. Dressing, the way we dress, the child is looking, mommy is dressing and her bump is showing. The child maybe connects it to what he has visually seen. And he begins to say, this is, mom is fine. It's like this. Then the sister dress again. You say you are told. But it's not the own matter. The sister will dress, everything showing. The boy is seeing only his sister. It comes to Garden of Eve now.
So that is actually an issue.
Yes, it's a big issue.
Okay, just a little bit, a little short story. When I was really young, we were just 3 girls. My dad, you don't come out to the parlor with a shot. You are just after you, and I hated it. I felt like I'm in the house. People should let me be, but I didn't know it was an issue.
Yes, he was avoiding it. So when you allow your girl child to dress seductively in the house, you are killing your boy's child. Because if they don't have anywhere to go and look for what their body is telling them, they felt the sister is the only option left for them. And if another one again, how do siblings play?
Yes.
I don't allow my boys. If you come out and I say, my friend, go and dress properly. Your sisters are here. And I don't allow my girls. You wear this thing and their nipples are showing. Come on, go and dress properly. This is home. You know why? I'm putting into their senses that indecent dressing can cause havoc even right in the home. You don't need to be outside. And when you begin to do that, the boys, it's all about the mind. They say, why is she doing this? Why is she doing this? Begin to know that, no, I don't. And I begin to tell them continually that, look, a girl can seduce you with her dressing. You are not an angel. You are just a human. A boy can seduce you. When you begin to see boys wearing hot pants in the house and their sisters look down, she's seeing something and she has information. Mind you, they are well informed. She has information of how it is like. Hey, before you know, it begins to come to her head that and the boy now maybe tries it on his sister. In short, it's a terrible situation. Parents, we have a lot to do in the home for our children. I think we push them into this environment, we lock them up. After locking them up, you see something begin to develop. And when you see your son overprotective of his sister, siblings are not protective inside the house. Siblings are always protective outside. It's not inside. When two siblings, you see them, they are just protecting each other. Look, something is wrong. But siblings are abusive at home. Look at your head. Look at your this. He has done this. He has done that. When you see those things that they are not there, the boys say, "Mommy, leave her alone now. Mommy, leave her." When daddy says, "Daddy, it's okay." Okay for brother. Please just know that something else wants to happen. You need to.
Okay, you said something I was going to ask a question on, but we're going to do that after the break. Let's just go on a short break. Please don't go anywhere. It's still decisions, and today we are talking about curbing incest. Just before we went on the break, we're talking about what parents can do to prevent their children, and then we got to a place where we talked about piracy. I'm going to ask a question on piracy, but before I do that, what is incest? What actually is incest? What constitutes as incest? I think I'm going to ask Pastor Patience.
Praise the Lord. I think when we talk about incest, we are talking about sexual intercourse being carried out by two people that ought not to do it. If we go back to the Bible days, we had an experience like that where you see that a father had sex with his daughters unknowingly. He had sex with his daughters unknowingly. That means the daughters were the perpetrators of that act, all in the name that they want to bring offspring for their father. And you now go gradually, see that in the Bible days also, situations like that came, where the daughter of David was being assaulted by the brother. These are abnormalities. The Bible did not ask us to do that. A brother and a sister ought not to have sexual relationship. A father and a daughter ought not to have sexual relationship. In short, in our own culture, cousins don't even have sexual relationship because we feel we are close. There's something about relationship that we uphold because having sexual relationship, exposes you. You are beginning to now form a family unit. And marriage is supposed to be from two different areas. Those not related come together and form a relationship. A father and a daughter, abomination. In Africa, we call it abomination. And our tradition has long been against it. There have met some people that say, it happened in the Bible days. It was all the areas in the Bible days, they were errors. They were not examples. Because the Bible is written for us to emulate some and condemn some. So, brother and sister should not find themselves having sexual intercourse, loving your sister that you want to touch her, loving your brother you want him to lie on you. It is not good at all. Nobody should encourage it. And if you are watching us and you have done it before, you better go to your pastor and have deliverance, because it comes with an evil spirit. When you do that, imagine, task yourself in future when you get married. How will you look at your sister and she gets married? Because such a marriage, the relationship sometimes destroys the brother or the sister's marital life, because they begin to reflect back. This my sister, I love her. This my brother, I love her. And sometimes if you see situation where a sister is demanding so much from her brother with authority, know that something evil has happened in their early life. Or a brother demanding the sister to bring from her husband and give to him. There is a caution there. So we discourage it, and that's why we are discussing it today. That incest is a bad thing. No family should allow it. Mother, father, if you are listening to us, don't allow your children to practice that. Give them the word of God and tell them it is strong. It is a taboo to our own religion also.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I would love to say something.
Okay, go ahead, Sam.
Right, just to add to what she said. One of the things I've observed from some of the things that come up today is that people link some of the activities to some of the events that happened in the Bible, right? Which she made reference to, and I'm happy she did. Issues like where did Cain get his wife? Right? Obviously, he must have married his sister. Right? Even Sarah was actually referred to as the half-sister of Abraham. Right? So sometimes people draw inspiration from such things. I've heard homosexuals say things like, what about David and Jonathan's relationship? You get, right? So I think it's important you made mention that some of the things that happened at those times, there were actually scriptural reasons why it had to be. Right? Yes, why such things happened from the beginning. But you see, after a while, God began to institute definite laws to regulate the activities of man. Right? In Leviticus chapter 18, for example, you see it's clearly stated there how that a brother and a sister ought not to, but scripture calls it an abomination to have sexual relationship with people who are closely related. Yes, it's really an abomination.
But in-laws do not fall in this category, like my sister's husband's brother.
Your sister's husband's
brother. Yes.
Having sex with who now?
With me. But you get my point, like in-laws, like, so he's my brother-in-law.
Yes.
Do they fall under that category of blood ties?
No.
Well, not necessarily. That doesn't make it right.
Yes.
If you read Leviticus 18, it gives a long line of different forms of relationships, so which that could fall under. But you see, closely related people. I think one of the definitions of incest I got from the dictionary is people who by law are not legally supposed to be married.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So if these two people, we know that by law, these two people can't get married, then they can't be involved in sexual activity. Yes.
Okay.
Right? So that's
Okay, so moving from that, how can we put, she mentioned on how because of the way our generation is now, there's no so much playing outside, so much relating outside. Everything we have to do is inside the TV, games, computers, and all of that. So how do we put safeguards around? Because we cannot take away TVs and internet from young ones these days. In fact, that's like the new learning hub for people. That's how people get homeschooled and all of that. So how do we put safeguards to make sure the TV and indoors and all of that don't? Because these parents work. Then again, we have some of these parents that go morning to evening, and then these kids come out, stay with themselves at home. So how do we place safeguards, Pastor Faye?
Okay, I think there are many things that sometimes parents don't think about. Now we think only about TV. I want to get my child occupied, I give her my tab where I'll be playing. You know, or how do I get these children to leave me alone? Okay, put on a TV, okay, watch Cartoon Network. That tends to be how the parents of this generation think. But the reality is that there are many things that you can do indoors that doesn't have to be related to, you know, like in those days we played games like Ludo, Monopoly, chess, you know, things like that. Yes, you know, Scrabble. You know, there were many things we could do within the house, even though not inside it, at least within the compound. There were many games, you know, that we played growing up. You know, police and thief, you know, catcher, you know, things like that. We just played football, you know, to occupy ourselves. So there are quite a number of things that parents can actually expose their children to, which I think is, to me, is even healthier, right? Because you see, what all that TV and
social media.
Social media and all that does is that it actually makes our children grow up to be, you know, very unable to relate with other people, because you are used to, yes, you are used to sitting down and relating with people virtually as you are not seeing them. So it actually affects the upbringing of the child.
The
so
social media is not so social after all.
It's really not so social. So he meets with his peers, he can't relate with them, right? Because he has not grown up to learn to relate with people. Another thing we used to do then, you know, we have neighbors, we have friends around, you know, and from time to time, you know, they will come into the house and, you know, we'll play games and do a number of things, you know, together. You know, our parents know each other. They know that, oh yes, these children, they're a good example. We can relate. So, you see, that, at the end of the day, there are really so many things that parents can introduce. So I don't think we should limit it to just, okay, or you need to watch, you must watch TV, or you must. I think there are a number of things that can actually help a child's upbringing and at the same time educate a child.
Okay.
If it has to be, sorry to add, if we have to limit it to the TV and limit it to social media online or going online, then I think there are many softwares and many educational materials that parents can get to help their children to grow. What I do for my children many times is I download things that I know that will be beneficial to them, save it in a flash, and I think most of the TVs now, you can actually plug your flash to it and get to watch the videos and things. And so and that's what I have developed over time. And my children really watch TV. In fact, most of the only time they get to see TV is when they go visit somebody who doesn't abide by my principles, right? So, but even at that, I think there are many things that parents can do that can actually help their children. Yes.
Okay. So, from everything that you both have said, ma'am, you've emphasized on parents. They have to be more committed. Like they have to be more involved. Parent involvement, right? Okay, so do you have any more safeguards you'd like to add to us?
Yeah, I think while he was talking, I just remembered that